It's Our Story. Kate Gaynor, Atlanta, Georgia.
My consciousness of being discriminated as far as disability was concerned came about in my adult years as opposed to my growing up years. I thought it was a cool thing to be in my classroom. In a lot of ways, I still think that my parents kind of protected me. I was very conscious of people staring at me as I moved outside of my neighborhood. But I didn't think anything about that. It never was brought to my attention that was the reason why they were staring at me. I was never made to feel different by my family. Therefore, in my mind, that translated to general society. They were staring at me because I was worth looking at. Or at least that's the way I perceived it. Now, in my adult years, I realized that they were being rude and that they were staring at me because of the disability and because of the way I move and because of the sound of my voice and all of that. But when I was growing up, it was no big deal. Now, I realize that we are discriminated against every day. I grew up learning that I had to be better than everybody else. And in a way, that's discrimination in itself. But I grew up thinking that way because I was African American. That's what people instill in their kids because of segregation. You will have to be better than anyone else to be equal. Now, of course, the barriers are, the physical barriers were there. Very evident in high school in that it was the first black high school built in Atlanta, and there were 5 floors and no elevators, of course. And I had to climb stairs just like anyone else. Teachers that didn't want me in their class because they thought I'd be extra trouble. There was one incident in high school. I should say I was never belittled by the kids I went to school, the regular ed kids I went to school with, mainly because of the elementary school I attended. It was, once the initial class was established, they decided to break us up into 2 groups. And my class moved over to Oglethorpe Elementary School, which was a brand new school. And they had several special ed classes. One for us, one for kids who were visually impaired, one class for hearing impaired kids, and on and on. But there were regular kids too. So when the regular kids had started in the school before we did, and the Friday before we were supposed to start in this new school, they had an assembly. And they were wise enough to explain to the kids that we were coming in and that how it wouldn't be fair for them to belittle us and that they should welcome us and treat us like any other child. So our paths were paved before we got there. Now because of that, and because I was mainstream on a partial basis in elementary school, high school wasn't so bad as far as the kids were concerned. Because most of the kids that I was in school with in elementary school went to Washington High with me. So my friends were there. And they took care of me. Plus, my older sister was there, and she took care of me. So I had a pretty easy time. However, there was a teacher, my geometry teacher, 10th grade, never will forget. They wouldn't let me take physical education. I didn't think anything about that. I thought it was great because no one wanted to take PE at the time. So in order to get the credits, they let me work at the nurse's station. So I was sitting in the nurse's station one day, and my geometry teacher came in, and she was talking to the nurse. Well, I was in there playing my radio and having a good time, and my geometry teacher, the nurse started talking about me. And my geometry teacher said, yeah, instead of bebopping around in it, she should be practicing writing. And any other day, I could have brushed it off. But that day, for some reason, it got to me. No one had said anything about my writing ever. In fact, it was an achievement that with my CP, I could write with a regular pencil or pen. But she chose to make fun of me. So I cried. And I said I wasn't going to a class ever again. And the nurse calmed me down and said that I had to go to class and all that. It all worked out. But that kind of discrimination I had.
The It's Our Story project is a national effort to make disability history public and accessible. Visit us at www.itsourstory.org or on the It's Our Story project YouTube channel.